All right, Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakahakodash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. All right, first off, I want to say Shalom to the ones that push this word out in truth and in sincerity, which are the apostles and elders on down to the brothers. Right, and Shalom to the ones that endure this faith until the very end, until the time of Jacob's trouble, which are again the apostles and elders on down to the brothers and a few sisters. All right, so Shalom. I want to do this, video based on something that, I researched further into, right, this week. In my class, they had us, reading stuff about Malcolm X, right? But you already know how the school system works. They'll say something, they'll teach you about something, and they'll leave the rest out, right? That's their craftiness, right? Most of the things that they left out, first off, man, Malcolm X, he was, that's a prime example of what to not be, right? Your freedom fighting, like Martin Luther King and all these others, no. Why? Because they were sellouts. All of them, sellouts. First off, man, Malcolm X, he followed unto, the Nation of Islam, right? It's a specific, culture that's literally called the Nation of Islam, right? Founded by, Farad Muhammad, who disappears in 1937, right? You're following unto somebody, that you're following unto a different God, right? So before I even go any further, I'll explain the rest along the way. But before I even go further, this is Judges 10:6. It says, "And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and served Balaam and Ashtaroth and the gods of Syria, and the gods, it says, and the gods of Zidon, and the gods of Moab, and the gods of the children of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines, and the Lord, and forsook the Lord, and served not him." Right? So they didn't serve the Lord. They served, these other gods. This is what that is. That Islam, doctrine, you're serving unto other gods. Right? Not only that, but you sold out. You're doing the same. What IUIC is doing today, these other camps, man, they're doing the same thing as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the Pharisees, right? The wicked ass Jake back then. It's the same thing over and over again, right? When did all this start? Most of all this rioting, right, started in the 60s, right? This was all during the 1960s. And what sparked out of it? Right? Because from 1965 to 1968, you had, the Black Panthers movement, right? Farad Muhammad back in the 30s, pretty much left his successors. That's all Malcolm X is his successor, and Elijah Muhammad. But during the 1960s, man, 1965 on up, right, you had the Black Panthers movement. That's another thing. Again, when you create these kind of movements, you're fighting against the Lord. We were put here to serve our punishment and our captivity, not to take up arms, and fight against this man. Right? And what happened? This was actually 1965, around like in the 60s. This was around the time I researched into this. This was around the time of Richard Nixon. Right? And what did he do? They both They were signing treaties or causes, pretty much making secret policies for the CIA to have agents, and they were sending them in the Black Panther Party, right? The same thing that they do today. They send up agents, but the agents that they use were so-called black people. They use Jake. Why? Because they're the easiest to sell out. The same thing for today. The same thing goes for Hollywood. The same thing goes for, all these industries. Jake sell out the most. So they started sending them in the Black Panther movement, to spy on them. Right? And if I remember, the Black Panther movement eventually just disbanded, right, over the years, right, around like 1981 or 1982. Your petitions, your petitions, to escape your hell, and not only that, but just what are you fighting for? You're talking about fighting for freedom, but you're fighting to get rights in this land, to live in this place. Well, we're supposed to be doing the opposite, right? We're supposed to be trying to get the hell up out of this place, not fight for our freedom. But we're not going to do it by force. We got to wait upon the Lord, right? Obadiah verse 18. The house of Jacob a flame, and the house of Joseph, the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Jacob a fire. In the house of the rulers of darkness for stubble. Right? We're supposed to, this is why we give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and not praises to, Bishop Nathaniel or Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or black people or even to ourselves. You got to have wisdom and knowledge. But here's the question that I had, though, right? I just randomly, while I was researching this, man, I thought about it for a sec. Now, we all know that they ain't push like televisions. How did Malcolm X get about like 40,000 members and followers, or even more, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000? How is that? Within a short span, right? Within a few years or so. How does that work? Because we all know that they ain't start pushing televisions into houses until like the late 1940s. But it really started in 1955. Right? That program to get televisions into houses started in 1955. And that was most households at that time. So, why? This was around, the 1960s, right? They ain't start putting they put televisions into houses since, 1955. How did all these members even come to pass? Because obviously, during that time, the speeches of Malcolm X and stuff, they ain't like that. The government did not like that whatsoever. So they say. That's how you know it's all set up. Because they put the televisions in the houses. So how did they broadcast on the televisions? If they had such a problem with it, they could have easily just block it out. Right? Around that time, who came into office? Right? Who came into office? 1963, and Lyndon Baines Johnson, came into office. And what did he do? He was mostly responsible for more laws, about like 200 laws and programs, including Medicare, Medicaid, etc. Television programs, children programs. He became a head of the FCC, right? The Federal Communications Commission. They're in charge of, that MK Ultra, these other programs, the entire television program, and eventually, the internet. So if that's the case, and not only that, but FCC was founded in 1934, way before they even implemented televisions into houses. So that's how you know it's set up. If they had such a problem with Malcolm X, in his speeches, why was it broadcasted on the televisions? And by then it was in a lot of people's houses. This was after 1955. You know why? Order out of chaos. They allow that to happen. Israel get riled up from the speeches. We're in a weak state. We're in a weak mindset. So we do what we can. We start rioting, and then what? It's order out of chaos. That's what they've been starting, even before. And that's what they're starting again. The order out of chaos has been going on for centuries. But eventually it's going to get bad enough for what? That ultimate prophecy. To get people to take, that rice grain. They've done the same thing with the Spanish flu, right? The elder here of Baltimore, he went into that. They had the Gates family. They did the same thing before, and they're doing the same thing now. So, it says, and the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines and into the hands of the children of Ammon. Right? So this is what, prime example. This is what happens. We served unto other gods. What do you expect is going to happen? And this is all throughout the scriptures. So who are we to try to fight our way out of our captivity, out of our punishment? And not only that, but you're serving unto Islam. A book where they believe that you can shake the sperm flakes off the garment. Kissing a rock. And believing in Prophet Muhammad, which prophesied jack shit, nothing. The only prophecy that they have in that book, so far, at least their form of prophecy, is in the last day, all the words in the Quran disappear. That don't sound like a prophecy. That just sound like it just dipped out. So the Lord did what? He sold us into the hands of the Philistines. Israel and the Philistines, were always going back and forth. And into the hands of the children of Ammon. That's Moab and Ammon, right? That's them Japanese, right? Them. They're heathens. That goes into the parable of Lazarus, right? In Luke. They're the dogs that lick the womb. Why? Because we're feeding off, of the crumbs that fall from the table. The rich man's table. That rich man is the rulers of darkness. So what do? They feed us into stuff, right? What I just went into with Malcolm X. That's us being fed into things. Right? How does FCC allow those to be broadcasted if they had such a problem with it? Not only that, but they own this society. But it's all set up. It says, in that year, they vexed and oppressed the children of Israel 18 years, all the children of Israel that were on this other side, Jordan, in the land of the Amorites, which is in Gilead. Moreover, the children of Ammon passed over Jordan to fight also against Judah and against Benjamin and against the house of Ephraim, so that Israel was sore distressed. It says, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, saying, we have sinned against thee, both because we have forsaken our God and also served Balaam, So that's Israel, crying unto Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, right? Pretty much saying, well, we just, we sinned. We gone a whoring. We serve Balaam, which is Baal, right? We were serving all kinds of strange gods. There was Jake. There was Israelites merging. The elder here goes into that. They was merging, their doctrines and gods with the truth. Right? They'll serve the Lord, but then they'll also serve, other gods. That's why he said, in Matthew, you can't serve two masters. Either you love the one and hate the other. Serve Yahweh or Mammon. So it says, and the Lord said unto the children of Israel, did not I deliver you from the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, and from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines, the Zidonians also, and the Amalekites, and the Moabites did oppress you, and ye cried to me, and I delivered you out of their hand. Yet ye have forsaken me, and served other gods, wherefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. That's all self-explanatory, right? This is the main reason why we're in this predicament, this situation that we are in now. The children of Israel are just ruined, right? And it's been that way for centuries, thousands of years, even during the time, of the scriptures, right? We've always been, going off and serving other gods. So I want to get Zephaniah 3 and 8. This is what we're supposed to do. Not become freedom fighters, to get out of our hell. We got to serve out the punishment, for what we've done. As simple as that. Who are you to try to fight against the Lord? Who are you to try to get out of your punishment and what you have been put in here from the Lord? Because if you're trying to get out of here, fighting it, if you're trying to, freedom fight your way out, taking up arms, you got Jake today doing that, thinking that you're in the kingdom already, IUIC, man, you doing that, that's like you doing what what's that one rapper Lil Boosie did. The Lord is going to get y'all for that. So this is Zephaniah 3 and 8. It says, therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Right? So we're supposed to wait upon the Lord. That's why you got to have, patience. Patience is what? Suffering. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be given the crown of life. So, and then that's the main point, right? For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. That's jealousy. That's pure jealousy. It's like having a woman, and she go and mess with somebody else. Like, what the? That's pure jealousy and hatred, and anger. So I want to get Isaiah 40 and 31. It says, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Right? So if we wait, those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. That's the main point. You're going to be okay. Right? Wait upon the Lord. We'll be brought up, delivered out of this society. Right? But the ones that want to stay here, Ezekiel 33, right? The ones that don't take warning, that's what we're here for. We're not out here waking up black people, black man, woman, and child. Because if they don't want to get it, that's on them. That's their destruction. Because if you want to stay in this society, you'll die with it. But that doesn't mean you take up arms, start fighting against their military and, being rebellious like them type of jakes. They get pulled over by the police and they start, acting crazy. Or that one Jake that was getting pulled out the car screaming, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. But that also means, waiting, patience. Because if you don't have patience, you're not disciplined. You're not a disciple. And as you see, these things that happened back in the 60s, even before that, obviously they're not disciples. These other camps, obviously they're not disciples. It's mostly IUIC. You already see what they doing. They trying to reenact, acting like they're in the kingdom. So, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and Shalom.